The New Brunswick Entrepreneurial Program is one of the only business immigration streams in Canada that still delivers a clear path to permanent residency. But here's the truth. Most applicants misunderstand what the province really expects, and they end up stuck, delayed, or refused. If you want to succeed, you need more than just meeting the minimums. You need to know how to score competitively, how to structure your business plan around New Brunswick's priorities, and how to prove your funds and experience the right way. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how successful entrepreneurs are getting approved and how you can do the same. Most entrepreneurs applying to the New Brunswick Business Immigration Program will get refused, not because they lack money, but because they misunderstand what the province actually expects. I've seen applicants lose 50 to 100 grand in investments, spend years in limbo, and walk away with nothing. If you're thinking about using entrepreneurship to immigrate to Canada, this is a video you cannot skip, because I'm going to expose the hidden true rules, the mistakes, the collapsed files, and the strategies that can mean the difference between success and total failure. My name is Jazz Doan. I'm a licensed Canadian immigration consultant and founder of Real West Immigration. And in this video, I'm going to give you the uninterrupted reality of how the New Brunswick entrepreneurial stream works as of September 2025. What the province actually expects from you, how much you really need to invest, what liquid funds mean in practice, how the points grid is structured, and how to put yourself in the strongest position to be invited, nominated, and eventually approved for Canadian permanent residency. Depending on where you're watching from, if you're an entrepreneur, a senior manager, or business owner who has been searching for a genuine pathway to Canadian permanent residency through investment or entrepreneurship, then listen carefully, because today I'm going to take you through the truths about the New Brunswick Entrepreneurial Program, one of the most practical, structured, and reliable business immigration options in Canada in the year 2025-2026. And I want you to stay with me to the very end, because not only am I going to explain the rules and the process step by step, I'm also going to unpack the hidden details that applicants often overlook, the mistakes that sink applications, and the strategies that make the difference between rejection and approval. No fluff, no gimmicks, just the exposed truth of how this program works. So let's start with the foundation. The New Brunswick Entrepreneurial Stream is a provincial nominee program, which means it's controlled and managed by the province of New Brunswick, but tied to the federal immigration system. The goal is very simple: attract experienced business owners and senior managers who are willing to move to New Brunswick, start or buy a business there, run it actively, create jobs, and become part of the province's economic future. Unlike temporary investor permits or federal pilot programs that may come and go, this program has remained consistent because it delivers value directly to the province. When you're approved, you don't just get a short-term work permit with no future. You actually get a clear, structured path to nomination. And once you're nominated by New Brunswick, you can apply for the federal government for permanent residency yourself, your spouse, your dependent children. That's why so many entrepreneurs around the world are looking at New Brunswick seriously in 2025. But here's where most people make mistakes. They assume that meeting the minimum requirements is enough. It's not. You have to think of this program as competitive. Let me explain. To even submit an expression of interest, you need to meet the baseline eligibility. That means you must be between the ages of 22 and 55. You need at least a Canadian language benchmark of 5 in English or French across all abilities. You must have at least 2 years of post-secondary education. You need a personal net worth of $600,000 Canadian, with at least $300,000 in liquid, unencumbered, transferable funds. And you need either 3 years of active business ownership experience, where you managed at least a third of the business and supervised at least 2 employees, or 5 years of senior management experience at a similar level. And you must commit to investing at least $250,000 Canadian into a business in New Brunswick that you will own at least a third of. And you must create at least one full-time job for a Canadian or permanent residence. That's the entry ticket. Without those, you don't even get into the pool. Now, here's the second level. Even if you qualify, you must score at least 65 points out of 100 on the province's selection grid. This grid covers age, language ability, education, business ownership or management experience, adaptability factors like previous visits, spell skills, and most importantly, the quality of your business concept. The reality is that just hitting 65 won't get you an invitation into an already competitive pool. The province is going to prioritize candidates with higher scores, stronger plans, and better ties to New Brunswick. That's why I always tell my clients, don't just aim for the minimum, aim to maximize. If you have a CLB 7 or higher in language, you'll outcompete most others. If you can demonstrate more years of business ownership or higher educational credentials, you strengthen your grid. And even if your business plan is aligned with New Brunswick's priority sectors, such as healthcare, trades, manufacturing, construction, technology, tourism, your profile suddenly becomes far more attractive than someone who just wants to open another generic retail shop. So let's talk about business requirements there, because this is where many applicants get caught off guard. Your business must be private, for-profit entity that provides real economic benefit to New Brunswick. It must create at least one full-time job for a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, not including yourself or your family. You must own at least 33% equity, and you must be actively involved in the day-to-day management, making key decisions, hiring, firing, supervising staff, and ensuring compliance. Passive ownership will kill your application. If you're buying an existing business, the rules are even tighter. That business must have been in continuous operation by the same owner for at least 3 years. It must have shown net profit in at least 2 of the past 3 years. It must have audited financials. You must maintain existing staff, and you must pay fair market value for it. Meaning you can't just transfer it from a cousin at an inflated price. And keep in mind, goodwill can only account for 10% of the purchase price. So you can't just buy the brand value of a struggling store and expect immigration officers to accept it. Now let's clarify something people always get wrong. Liquid funds, when New Brunswick says you need at least $300,000, they mean money you can actually access, transfer, and invest. That includes cash in bank accounts, short-term deposits, and marketable securities you can sell quickly. It does not include real estate equity locked up in a property, retirement funds you cannot access without heavy penalties, or assets that are tied in the litigation of debt. And yes, you will have to undergo a net worth verification report conducted by a designated professional accountant firm approved by the province. They will audit your statements, your ownership records, your tax filings, and they will confirm whether your declared assets and liquid funds are legitimate. This isn't something you can fake. If you overstate your liquidity or hide debt, it will be uncovered and your file will collapse. Now let's walk through the process step by step because it's critical to understand the timeline. First, you submit an expression of interest into the NBPNP pool. That expression of interest includes your score calculation and your business concept. You sit in the pool for up to a year. New Brunswick does not run draws on a fixed schedule. Invitations are issued as needed, based on the province's priorities, the number of profiles in the pool and sectors they want to target. New Brunswick does not run draws on a fixed schedule. In fact, invitations are issued as needed based on the province's priorities, the number of profiles in the pool, and the sectors they want to target. If you're invited, then you have to submit a full application along with a $2,000 provincial fee. At that stage, you must provide your full net worth verification, your complete business plan, proof of your education, proof of your language ability, and proof of your business or management experience, all supporting documentation as well. If that's approved, you'll be asked to sign a performance agreement with the province. This agreement outlines the commitments you made in your plan, how much you'll invest, what type of business you'll operate, where it will be located, and what jobs you will create. How actively and how will you manage it as well. Then the province issues you a letter of support so you can apply for a Canadian work permit. Now with that work permit, you get to move to New Brunswick, establish your business, and begin operations. Now here's the part most people don't realize. You cannot just sit on that work permit and wait. You must actively launch the business, invest the funds, hire staff, and live in that province. The province expects you to maintain at least 75% physical presence in New Brunswick while operating your business. You must reside within 100 kilometers of your business, so commuting from another province or trying to run the business remotely will not work. After about 6 months of operating the business in line with your performance agreement, you can request a nomination. At that stage, New Brunswick will validate your performance. They will look at your lease, your payroll records, your employee contracts, your tax registrations, your supplier invoices, your bank statements, and your business activity. If you met the milestones, they issue a nomination. With that nomination in hand, you apply federally to IRCC for permanent residence. That federal processing can take another year or two, during which you must continue to operate your business as per your agreement. Once approved, you and your family become permanent residents of Canada, free to live anywhere, but typically most people choose to continue growing the business in New Brunswick. So what are the common mistakes? Let me give you some. First, under-capitalization. Too many applicants think that if the minimum investment is $250,000, that's all they need. In reality, if you don't budget for at least 6 months of operating costs beyond your initial setup, you're at high risk of failure, and the province will not nominate a failed business. Second, poor business concept. Generic convenience stores, gas stations, or small retail shops rarely succeed in the pool unless they provide a unique economic benefit. Focus instead on priority sectors that New Brunswick needs: healthcare services, skilled trades, advanced manufacturing, information technology, and tourism infrastructure. Third, ignoring presence requirements. If you try to live outside the province or commute from too far, you're breaching your agreement. Fourth, hiring too late. The job creation requirement is not a suggestion. It must be documented and met. And fifth, sloppy records. If you don't keep clean payroll files, tax filings, leases, and supplier records from day one, you won't be able to prove compliance when you request nomination. Now let me tell you why this program is attractive compared to others. Unlike federal investor programs which no longer exist in most of Canada, and unlike Quebec's investor program which requires a large passive donation and French language proficiency, the New Brunswick program allows you to leverage your real business skills to obtain PR with a much lower capital threshold. Unlike temporary entrepreneurial work permits such as C10 or C11, which don't lead to PR on their own, this program provides a clear path. And unlike federal startup visa program, which can take years and require incubator or venture capital support, the New Brunswick program is completely under your control. Your business plan, your investment, your management. That's why it's one of the most structured and reliable routes in 2025 or 2026. So here's my advice. If you're considering this program, don't just ask, and do I meet the minimum requirements? Ask yourself, do I have a competitive edge? Can I score above the 70 or 75 points on the grid? Can I build or buy a business that matches the province's priorities? Can I document my net worth cleanly? Can I commit to physically living in New Brunswick and running this business actively for the next few years? If the answer is yes, then this is a program worth pursuing. If the answer is no, or if you're hoping to manage passively from abroad, then save yourself the time and money because this program will not work for you. At the end of the day, the New Brunswick Entrepreneurial Program is about partnership. The province is saying, show us your experience, show us your commitment, invest into our economy, Hire our people, and we will support your journey to permanent residence in Canada. For the right applicant, it's a fair trade and it works. If you want a personalized assessment, if you want to know your exact score on the points grid, if you want to know whether your business concept will qualify, and if you want professional guidance through the net worth verification and application process, book a consultation at the link below. I'll review your profile in detail, I'll tell you where you stand, and I'll show you how to build a winning case. At the end of the day, building a life in Canada through business immigration is not just about paperwork. It's about a vision, a commitment, and having the right strategy from day one. I've seen too many entrepreneurs lose time and money because they've tried to navigate the system blindly, or because they trusted the wrong advice. That's why I created Real West Immigration, to guide people like you through the exact process with clarity, honesty, and a plan that actually works. If you're serious about making Canada your home, and you want to avoid the mistakes that sink so many applications, then don't wait. Click the link below to book your one-on-one consultation with me. We'll go through your profile, your business concept, and map out the right strategy so you can move forward with confidence. This is your chance to stop wondering, stop hesitating, and start building your Canadian future today. Thank you for watching, and remember, in immigration, timing and strategy matter. So if you're serious about building a life in Canada through entrepreneurship, the time to act is now, not years from now. See you soon.